Well, I'd like to thank everyone for being here. I'd like to thank everyone who has contributed to make this Act 2 of this GLF Kyoto. Is there a slide that I ask you to show as a moderator? So, yes, and this is part of a 24-hour marathon of GLF event. And I'm very pleased to have excellent experts, practitioners, to have at this closing plenary. The first person to speak will be Constance Okolot. She is a chairperson, Oskuru United Women's Network, and her action has catalyzed climate-wise women, something even bigger. Miguel Altieri, a professor emeritus, University of California, Berkeley. He specializes in environmental science, policy, and management. Chieko Umetsu, professor of Kyoto University, like myself. She is a specialist on natural resource economics and rural development in Asia and Africa. Markku Kaninen, professor who is a professor at the University of Helsinki. He is specialized in tropical silviculture, but he has been involved in Ipcc report activities. And Abdallah Moxit, he's the secretary of Ipcc at the very top, overseeing all the Ipcc Intergovernment Panel on Climate Change. And so he's an expert on climate science. Unfortunately, after 4 or 5 days of long sessions here, they're doing press conference today. So he will be arriving late. And I'm Kaoru Kitajima, and so I have to say it's been wonderful to listen to all the talks. Just yesterday was Mother's Day, and I have to say Mother Earth has been helping people. Okay, climate is warming because of increasing CO2 in the atmosphere, but Mother Earth, especially forests, have been taking up that extra CO2. But what people are doing is more. And so we are hurting the planet. That image is in mind of everyone. So what can we do? We need to heal the planet. This is a kind of comment that came from part of the 24-hour marathon. So hopefully after listening to excellent speakers, and you can turn off the slide because Constance will be at the podium and tell us about women, mothers, and their importance in climate change adaptation, mitigation. So Constance, please turn off.
Good evening, everybody. I'm very happy, I'm very pleased to be here this evening, and join me to thank CIFO for having brought everybody here all the way from wherever he or she comes from by clapping. I am by the name Constance Okolot. I come from Uganda. Can you imagine the whole way from Uganda to here? It's the other side of the country, up again to the other side of the country. It takes 3 days to reach here from my home. So I'm very much grateful to be here. I'm the chairperson of Osukuru United Women Network and one of the founders of Climate Wise Women. Climate Wise Women is based in New York. It was founded in 2009 when we went for the UN summit that was in September. So Osukuru United Women Network was formed in 2007. Why was it formed? We saw bad things happening, different things happening, things that used not to be in life, in people's lives when we were growing up. We didn't see these different bad things happening to people. You find mudslides killing people. You find floods killing people. You find drought, women suffer. You find, and the children, you find all those bad things. Winds, heavy winds coming and blowing people's houses. oh my God, this thing used not to be there. Now we don't have the forests. We don't have the water. We don't have the food. And why don't we have the food? Because we don't have the seasons. In my country, Uganda, we used to have 2 seasons in a year. When I was growing up, we could harvest too much food, have the food year in, year out. You still have this one. The next one is again on. You find healthy children, healthy body, healthy people, and healthy mind. People living in the countryside, not in the town, but they're in the village. Very happy, easy life. But today, you will find the people living a very miserable life. Why am I saying miserable? Because they sleep hungry. The women work harder than they used to. Their 24-hour clock, they only rest for 8 hours, for 4 hours. For the men, at least, they rest for 8 hours. But the woman rests for 4 hours. Not even a complete rest. How about the girl child? The girl child is ever with the mother, trying to help the mother. How about the disabled? They are there with their parents, with their mothers. And you know what? When the bad effects come, the women and the children are being hit so much. And in 2007, when we saw all that, the children don't go to school, children go to school hungry, children don't cross when it is flooding, they don't cross to the other side to go to school. You find many school dropouts. Children, a child of 14, 12, carrying a child. Then you say, what is happening? It used not to be like that. But then when we started the organization, we said, no, we should start by ourselves. We didn't know what climate change was, because many people were saying, it is God. This is God. God is doing his family planning. And then we said, no, okay, if it is God, let us do something to prevent what is happening now. Let us stand up and begin. I begin, you begin, everybody comes in, and then we can change this thing we can change the world to be a better place to live in. Because like, when we saw the world is bare, no trees, we said, okay, let us start by planting trees. The trees will now bring the rain. The rain will now bring the waters upwards, because even the swamps were finished. Let us go for the clean energy. Let us go for home improvement campaigns. By that I mean, do you have a pit latrine, which when the rains come, won't be broken, and then the water goes and it is contaminated, and the sickness comes, because there are so many different types of sickness and killing people. That used not to be there. Then we started the movement. Constance, go. I will be the vice. The other one will be the secretary. Can we begin? We started. And then the meetings started. We started engaging the government. What about this? Give us the seeds. We don't want your food, because the government was now bringing in food to give the people. We say we are very strong people like us. Then you give us food. How about tomorrow? Give me what to plant. Give me the tool to work on the garden, because the poverty level has increased. It has risen. Not the simple life, but the poverty is high. You can't even buy a hoe. You can't even rebuild your house which fell, even your pit latrine. Then we said, no. Give the tools. Give us the seeds, the quick maturing seeds. Give us the knowledge that we can use. Then we can go in for this. The government did. And now we can have decision-making. We can be heard at all levels, from local government 1 to 3 to 4 to 5. Our voices are there because we said, when we start this, our voices will be heard. Other than me, one single person, to begin speaking, nobody will even know what we are doing. Now, the men, when we were starting, the men said, look at that mad woman. What is she saying? She's collecting our women for what? I continued. I didn't listen to them. Why is that? Why did you go to that woman's meeting? They continued coming because they were getting good things that we were discussing in our local meetings. At the end of the day, the men also started saying, can we join you? Why are you leaving us outside? We see our women these days, they are doing something. Because when we are in a group, we do the savings and credit. We save, we credit, and we give that small money to a person. Go and do business to sustain you. Alternative activity. Because depending on farming alone will not take us very far. But if we have this, can take us somewhere. The children will eat, even if you don't grow food, because food is imported from other countries, and also Uganda exports. So there's always food at the groceries. So you have time to go and buy because you have your small business there. The youths are there. The youths are saying, why is it happening? The youths have come. We are now on a movement, and we are over 2,000 plus, and we are in the whole district. I started it as a mad woman, but now the mad woman is pulling people, and people are coming, and people are following, and people are doing something. There's nothing that cannot be changed in this world. We are now going towards the sea. We are going to be swallowed, all. But before we are swallowed, why can't we do the reverse? By doing something that can help the planet to come back to normal, because we want the next generation. I'm old, I'm going. How about these young ones coming up? How about those grandchildren coming up? They cannot be swallowed. Let them come, follow us. They continue following us. They continue following us. What do they need? They need the knowledge. They need the technology, the new technologies. They need the finances to help them speed up what they are doing. Every bad situation has got its answer on this earth. However much you do what? Climate change, there is hope of turning it, making it a U-turn, and making the world a better place to live. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the invitation. The slides, please. There's two models of agriculture that we have today: industrial agriculture, large-scale systems, and small-scale agriculture. The industrial agriculture actually uses about 80% of the land available, arable land, and with monocultures that are vulnerable to climate change. And these systems are shown to be very, very susceptible. For example, the word drought in 50 years in the Midwest, yields dropped of soybean and corn in about 30%. In California, we had major losses because of 5-year drought, and in Puerto Rico's monoculture plantations, because of Maria, there was a huge devastation of this type of agricultural systems. These systems only produce 30% of the food, although they use most of the agricultural land. They have a huge ecological toll, and they warm the planet. Bringing the green revolution is not going to solve, or what was being here says, business as usual. We need to change the system. We need to break the monocultures and also the power structure, the corporate power structure behind these systems. There's a lot of evidence that there's a new approach called Agri Ecology, even recognized by FAO. And what we're talking about is a transition, a transformation of these systems into systems that are based on ecology, but also on traditional knowledge and also on community action at the grassroots level. There are some examples of transformation of these systems. This is in Argentina, a huge monoculture that was devastating, causing deforestation, land degradation, transformed into an agroecological system where 20% of the land was using strips of natural vegetation, which brought a lot of ecological benefits. Or, for example, the transformation of pastures that are into silvopastoral systems in Colombia. And this is data from one farm called El Atico, where you can see that the production of milk continues constant despite the changes in precipitation, whether it's Niño or Niña season. Actually, the milk production keeps going stable. There's another model, which is peasant agriculture, small-scale agriculture, which actually they occupy 30% of the land, but they produce 50 to 75% of the food that we eat, depending on the country. And this system cools the planet. These systems are based on diversified farming systems, polycultures, agroforestry systems, etc., which actually are resilient to climate change. There's many studies. For example, the study on Hurricane Mitch showed that agroforestry systems or systems that had soil conservation practices resisted the hurricane much better. They had less damage by mudslides and erosion when you had these landscape systems that were very diversified. Or in the case of Ike in Cuba, the monoculture system, the plantations suffered much more than the diversified systems that had hedgerows and that had polycultures and agroforestry systems. So we're finding that the resiliency at the agro-ecosystem level depends on the vegetational diversity, the landscape structure that surrounds what we call the landscape matrix, and the soil conservation and water conservation practices used. For that reason, today we're working with a new concept called agroecological restoration, where you have a marriage between agroecology and restoration ecology working at the farm and the landscape level to produce resilient agro-landscapes. So one example from Colombia, you can see this farm, totally degraded monoculture with erosion, basically being transformed slowly with use of barriers of Tithonia diversifolia, which has many benefits that I don't have time to go into. And at the end up with a system like this, where you have production of food, you have conservation of biodiversity, and a system that is highly resilient. Or in the same community, children and women participate in a restoration of the watershed, as you can see evolving from 1992 to today, where you have a complete restoration of the landscape with very tangible benefits, 75% recovery of forest cover, water conservation, which allows more water for the people, food security, etc., etc. And all these projects are grassroots and have not received any government support or international support, like the projects that I have been listening to here. Another example, grassroots in Mixteca, in the highlands of Mexico and in Oaxaca. This is the landscape that was totally degraded by overgrazing, deforestation. Communities decided to stay there. They did a restoration of the system, reforestation, soil conservation, water harvesting. And today you see that in 5 years, more than 1 million trees were planted, more than 1,000 farmers trained in more than 500 hectares have been restored. Again, grassroots effort without any support from the outside. So what we're seeing is that we can have agroecology and ecological restoration together in order to produce food that is accessible to everybody, that is healthy, but at the same time recover the capacity of the ecosystem to provide ecological services needed for the communities, which at the end ends into what we call resilient agro-landscapes. So basically what we're talking about is, instead of climate change, is system change. It's a transformation. We're not talking about adaptation. We need to transform the systems. We need to break the monoculture systems. We need to support small farmers, which are the ones that are promoting the food security and at the same time conserving the environment. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. My name is Chieko Umetsu from Kyoto University. I'd like to share a little bit of our research we conducted for the climate resilience. There is a fact that farmers in Africa are facing increasing climate variability due to the resilience of rain-fed reliance, due to the reliance of rain-fed agricultural production systems. Example is in 2019 March, there's a big flood in Mozambique, and at the same time, there was a severe drought in southern part of Zambia. So how farm households are coping to sustain livelihood under this variability? So we wanted to look at what actually the climate vulnerability means to farmers. So we set up a rain gauge in farmers' field and also the anthropometric measures to see the impact to the nutritional status. And this is a rain gauge graph. As you can see, the different site has different rainfall pattern, and especially not only the annual variability, but also the seasonal variability is very large. This is a reality that the farmers are actually facing every year. So landscape that has to support sustainable livelihood for resilience of food security against climate variability, sustainability of farmers' livelihood, that is production, consumption, and nutrition is important. And social ecological point of view, institutions that connect ecological and the social system is a key for adapting for and recovering from various shocks for resource-based livelihood. So the center square shows the institution technologies for resource management. So this is a key for recovering from the various shocks, including climate variability. Variability, there are many types of variability, like socioeconomic variability and climate variability. And there are some components that may be very important for resilience, building resilience. Crop production is of course important, and food consumption and health and nutritional status, especially the food security is considered the promoting crop production, but not only crop production, but also the food consumption levels of the household and also the health and nutritional status of the household members are very important when you consider the food security issues. So what we found is the resilience in the short-run recovery and also the long-run adaptive capacity of household, community, and region to absorb shocks, adapt to changing conditions, and to learn, innovate, and transform. And also the asset including agro-technology, livestock, and land holdings, and cash income opportunities are very crucial. The availability of the access to ecosystem services, the supply wild food during the lean period and drought year is also important. And strengthening the social safety net in different levels is necessary to increase adaptive capacity. And also the development of infrastructure. When the flood, especially the flood comes, the roads and the bridges are washed away and the vehicle cannot enter the region, that shoot up the price of food. So that is very, very influencing, especially the poor sector of the community. So the infrastructure has a role to stabilize in the food prices at the time of food price hike. And also the farmers in Africa are increasingly integrated into world economy through internationally traded agricultural commodities like coffee and cotton. And land use affected by the market condition of those commodities through food chain. For achieving sustainable production, consumption, nutrition, transformation of people's attitudes towards lifestyles and food chain regimes is required. Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues and friends, my name is Markku Kanninen. I'm coming from the University of Helsinki, Finland, and I'm going to say some words about the IPCC 1.5 decree report, which came out last year. I had the great honor of being one of the lead authors of the report. Well, when the report came out in last October, it really kind of attracted a lot of attention between the decision makers, scholars, press, and people in general. And I think that the message was very clear of the report. We have about 10 years left. I mean, not 10 years left as a humankind or 10 years left in the planet, but 10 years left in order to make the U-turn that Constance was mentioning in her speech. I mean, if we don't act now, or if we don't start seeing results in terms of emissions going down, and we starting building more resilient societies, we are in a very wrong track. It's very difficult to get into the right track if we don't act now. And I think that was the really, really important message of the report, and at least in the parts where I live in Europe, it really caused a lot of attention. And the report presented 4 emission pathways that are all consistent with 1.5 degree target. And they also, of course, present the transitions of energy systems and other systems. How do we get into those targets? And of course, it was those 4 emission pathways. Some of them were high energy intensive, and some were less energy intensive. But all of them had either overshoot or non-overshoot, but aiming at reaching at 1.5 degree target. Which is interesting for us today is that in all of them, land use sector played an important role. It played an important role in terms of land use being essential for reaching zero net emission targets by 2050 and having negative emissions globally, which are required for reaching the 1.5 degree target. So emphasizing the importance of land use sector as a part of the solution. Of course, not as the only solution, because, I mean, of course, emission reductions in the energy sector, transport sector, and others are required. And it's not just a kind of a reduction. We need a systemic or transformational change. We need to change the ways we consume. We need really, I mean, we don't have any chances left if we don't do that. But however, this agriculture intensification, halting deforestation and forest degradation, restoration of degraded lands, all of those that have been discussed here, for instance, today, are part of that, the transition that is needed in order to reach 1.5 degree targets. And of course, landscapes, they are not important only for emission or carbon sequestration. They are very, very important in building resilient production systems. We just heard in the previous speakers, both of them, talking about increasing resilience by changing our agriculture and farming systems toward more kind of resilient ways. So, of course, and the numbers presented in the Ipcc report are mind-boggling because they are so large in terms of land use. And in one of the earlier the panels, the speaker from the FAO mentioned about the need of producing 60% more food for the population. So how do we meet all of those goals that we have to at the same time? And of course, it was interesting, the Ipcc report, the 1.5 degree report, had one chapter, chapter 5, where I was part of the group of authors, which was looking at the links between sustainable development and climate action. And it's very, to me, I have been in Ipcc almost for 30 years, and it was the first time that I see a kind of a systematic approach of trying to analyze not only the technical or, let's say, more issues related to the climate system as such, but also looking at society and sustainable development and how it is compatible or not with the climate goals. And I think that this is a very interesting part of the report because it really, we analyzed all of the 17 sustainable development goals versus all, let's say, 20 different climate actions in terms of mitigation, adaptation, and how and which are the interactions between those. The chapter introduces a very interesting concept which is called climate resilient development pathways. And I think that is something that we have to look more carefully, because it brings together the goal of reaching sustainable development, but also simultaneously the goal of reaching ambitious mitigation and adaptation targets. And of course, here in this climate development pathways, issues such as social justice and equity are key. And the things that have been discussed also in the panel earlier today, issues related to rights, access rights, ownership, tenure, which are key for any solution that we try to find in landscapes and in transforming the landscapes towards climate resilient development pathways. And of course, this transformation requires the participation of all. It means governments, national and subnational authorities, civil society, private sector, indigenous peoples and local communities. But I personally feel that the role of the governments is clear here. The governments, they have to create the space, conditions and enabling environment for these systemic or transformational changes to take place. And also the governments have to make sure that they monitor that the changes are really, and the changes lead to impact that we want. Thank you so much.
So we have heard 4 excellent presentations, including Constance, who talk about the real experience voice practitioner. There are things we can do, and they are wonderful examples, and some additional examples of great solutions, and people are working. And we just heard that it's not too late. We still have 10 years, so if we act now, we can do something. With that note, I'm very pleased that Dr. Abdullah Moksit has just arrived to take the place to tell us about IPCC, its vision, and the message to us that maybe it's not too late, and what may be one important message to pass to the next generation, young people. Please. Let's welcome him.
Thank you very much. And I was coming with some delay because I was in the Kyoto University, and exactly what you highlighted. I was giving presentation to students, young generation, but what was amazing, they were asking serious questions. And some questions were also related to what we approved yesterday in this center, the refinement of guideline, 2019 guideline, and we were happy to come to an achievement, and it was excellent. So, IPCC, first of all, I want also to thank you, and here I am on behalf of our chair, Hossein Lee, and he was really willing to attend this meeting, but he has other activities, so I am honored to be with you. And I want really to provide the latest information about IPCC and how I just heard how the assessment report is useful, how they are informative, and how they can provide you with the latest information about science. I want to start already to make some precision. IPCC is an intergovernmental panel of climate change. IPCC is assessing research. We are not doing research. That means the quality of our assessment is at the level of the quality of the existing research. Of course, it is a good interface between scientists and policymakers, stakeholders, but at the end, it is exactly the voice of science presented in the manner that can inform the policymaker and stakeholder and also individual. And also, I want also to highlight that we are living the 6th cycle of IPCC, and it is for me the most intense cycle in the history of IPCC. We just celebrated the 30-year anniversary last year, and in this cycle, we have to produce 3 special reports, 1 methodology report, and the whole set, and there are 4 reports under the 6th cycle. The first report is the contribution for Working Group 1 of IPCC, which is dealing with science, physical science. The Working Group 2 dealing with vulnerability impact. The Working Group 3 dealing with mitigation and solution, and also Task Force for Inventory. And I think we have this, those all 4 reports that conclude that we have 8 reports in the whole cycle. While in the past cycle, we were just dealing with 5, 6 reports at as maximum. Now, last year we approved the special report about 1.5. And this special report was requested by UNFCCC in Paris 2015, when many countries, small islands, requested IPCC to provide, it is negotiator, small island, asking the IPCC as tool of assessment of research to provide the latest knowledge about 1.5. That time, the research about 1.5 was not enough. And then IPCC committed to provide information 3 years after, and it was done. We were tasked in 2015, we delivered in 2018, just in time before the COP24 in Katowice. And the one who followed Katowice are aware that all the discussion was around the special report 1.5. And I want also to highlight that the objective of IPCC is to provide the useful information. Our colleague knows how the assessment reports are very big, thousands of pages, but at the end we can summarize them in key messages. And I took the opportunity in my visit card in the back to put the key message that come from the special report of 1.5. And just I can read them. The first one is climate change is already affecting people, ecosystems and livelihood all around the world. The second message is limiting warming to 1.5 degrees C is not impossible, but would require unprecedented transition in all aspects of society. The third key message is there is clear benefit to keeping warming to 1.5 degrees C compared to 2 degrees C or higher. Every bit of warming matters. The last message is limiting warming to 1.5 degree can go hand in hand with achieving other world goals, such as achieving sustainable development and eradication of poverty. This is the outcome from one special report. And this is exactly the kind of answer to questions that can be asked by Prime Minister, Head of State, exactly. If I am not Prime Minister, but I can play this role. I can ask, what is this about this climate change? Yes, the first key message is there. I heard that there is a question about 1.5. Is it possible or impossible? This is the message is here. What is the difference between 1.5 and 2 degrees C? Yes, Your Excellency, there is difference, and every bit of warming matters. And also, this time we are listening, sustainable development goal, poverty and so on. No, yes, exactly. Tackling climate change goes hand in hand in dealing with all these development goals. That means all the concern that we are living now. And this is the outcome from 1.5, the special report 1.5 degrees C. And next October, we will be approving special report about climate change and land in Geneva from 2 to 6 August. In September, we will approve special report about climate change and ocean and cryosphere, that's high mountains. And by approving yesterday the refinement of 2019 refinement of greenhouse gas inventories, we will have the whole set of 4 reports. Of course, the other report will come during 22, and we will conclude by the sensitivity report in 22, just in time before global stocktake. I wanted to draw your attention also, and this is really specific. It is also the first time that our reports are sector-oriented. Climate change land, climate change ocean, climate change 1.5, refinement, and also this cycle we dealt with. We did have an international conference about climate change and cities with the commitment to have special report about climate change and cities in 7 cycles. The conclusion is now we are looking to solution. Our effort is to assess research for solution. How to provide decision maker, policy maker, individual stakeholder, all the necessary information to allow them to take decision. Because as a matter of science, we learned a lot. We understood. We are using some language like unequivocal, clear, but now what is expected is by sector. And this is provide me the hand to deal with agriculture and forest and so. I think now IPCC is working seriously on those aspects. And you have just to visit our website and to look to the outline we are dealing with, and we will see that there are many chapters dealing with agriculture, all those sectors, forests, and all that's speculated and close to solution. We can also find chapters oriented to finance, to even private and so on. This is with the objective that to convert the existing science in the message that be provided to policymakers and stakeholders. Yes, it is about the concern that we should provide solution for not only for this generation, we should provide solution for the next generation. And I can also conclude by one thing, and it is really demonstrated that the young activities now, we did have some in France, in Geneva, coming from Grève du Climat, climate change and so on. But what is amazing, all those young people are speaking with conclusion like this. That means IPCC demonstrates the possibility to reach the young generation. But not only in the younger generation, we are also preparing messages to minorities. We are also preparing target messages to civil society, and also we are preparing the good message, the message with commitment to policymakers and stakeholders. Thank you very much.
So, I wish we had time to ask questions, but I think we already had the answer. What may be a key message to the next generation? And I'm really pleased that there are wonderful, inspirational examples and, facts that are coming, assessments coming from IPCC. And with that, I'd like to have everyone to give a round of applause, and we'll ready to listen to the final closing remarks. Thank you very much, everyone.
Well, we are very close to the end of this GLF in Kyoto, and we hope today was truly inspiring, that it gave you food for thought and also plenty of motivation for action, as well as opportunities to network, to connect, share, learn, and act, as the GLF talks about these values all the time. Before I invite our distinguished final speakers here to the stage, we will have a reception at the end of the closing. So we invite you, I think it's the Swan Hall downstairs, for some drinks and also a drumming performance. So the closing speech will be given by Mr. Koji Hongo, who's the Deputy Director General of the Forestry Agency of Japan, and Robert Nazi, the Director General of C4, will be wrapping up the conversation. So for the closing speech, I invite Dr. Koji Hongo.
「すいません。英語が苦手なので日本語でお話をさせていただければと思います。まず、ロベルト・ナシ司法事務局長様、そして、世界からおいでいただいたパネリスト、そしてコーディネーターの皆様、そしてご列席の皆様、本日グローバルランドスケープフォーラム京都2019が盛大に開催されましたことを心からお祝い申し上げます。東アジア地域で初めての GLF が我が国の誇る美しい古都京都で、かつ気候変動対策と深い縁のあるこの国際会館で開催されましたことは、気候変動対策の重要性を世界に発信する喜ばしい機会と感じております。日本は国土の約7割を森林が覆う森林大国でございますけれども、この森林の4割を占める人工林の多くが現在利用期を迎えております。戦後私たちの先人たちがですね、戦後の復興のために植えて育てた木でございますけれども、この森林資源を今切って使って植えるという循環を我が国の政府として目指しております。皆様ご案内の通り、森林資源の適切な管理経営というものは気候変動の緩和と適用をはじめ、生物の多様性の保全、そして産地災害の防止など、森林の公益的機能を継続的に発揮させる、国連の持続可能な開発の目標、いわゆる SDGs の数多くの目標達成にもつながると思っています。そのためにも森林資源を上手に切って使って、そして再度再生産のために植えて育てるという循環を作ってまいりたいというふうに思っています。また本年から我が国では市町村が実施する森林整備の取り組みを支えるべく、国民に森林整備やその促進に必要な財源の一部を負担していただく森林環境税及び森林環境譲与税というものを導入いたします。 林野庁としても、この地域に根ざした活動の重要性を認識し、世界の気候変動対策につながる森林整備の活動を一層支援してまいりたいと思っております。世界に目を向けますと、森林をめぐる状況は地域によって大きく異なりますが、引き続き森林減少と森林劣化という大きな問題があることが、今日再度確認をされました。この大きな課題に取り組まなければならないと思っております。そういった意味で土地利用の在り方、ライフスタイルを考えながら、我が国は多国間、そして二国間を通じて、レッドプラスの活動を中心に支援してまいりましたが、これらの協力に従事する中で、持続可能な森林系が促進されるよう強くコミットしているところでございます。シーフォールとの協力や交流もまたレッドプラスへの貢献において大きな資産となっております。昨年末、ポーランドのカトビツェで開催された UNFCCC の COP24 には私も出席させていただきましたが、2020年以降の枠組みであるパリ協定の実施ルールが大枠採択されたほか、ポーランド国が主催されました森林宣言では、世界が一丸になって森林問題に取り組むことが確認されております。また、昨日までこの会議場で開催されました IPCC では、今もお話ございましたように、重要なガイドラインが採択され、より信頼性の高い報告が可能になり提供されることが期待されています。私としても、このIPCC のこの成果をですね、大変喜ばしく思っております。ご列席の皆様、本日は気候変動、ランドスケープ、生活様式など多岐にわたる重要な課題についてご議論いただき、未来に向けて一層の取り組みを進めていかなければならないと感じられたことと思います。GLF 京都はシーホールの理事や日本の窓口を務められている京都大学の多大な支援もあったと伺っております。京都大学は私の母校でもあり、地理的にも学術的にも京都を通じて日本の森林と世界の森林がつながっている縁を感じずにはおられません。ご参加の皆様にもぜひフォーラムの議論に加えて、我が国に誇る豊かな森林と神社仏閣など歴史を有する木造建築物に触れる機会を経験していただくことを懸念しております。最後になりますが、シフォールはじめご列席の皆様方のご健勝を心から記念いたしますとともに、合わせて、私たちの同僚だった、赤堀氏の追悼のためのスペースを司法の皆様に作っていただくことに感謝申し上げまして、私からのご挨拶とさせていただきます。本日はありがとうございました。皆様お疲れ様でございます。
Well, here we are at the end of a long day. And about our conference here, we had 170 people in the room present here in Kyoto, sorry. But we had 4,000 people online, and we reached 2 million people significantly via social media, and we had about 20 million people showing interest, but not long enough, so that's something that but you see that we have been reaching much more than the couple of hundred people here in the room, so what was the purpose of this edition? If we reflect to what Constance told us, I mean, sort of bad thing happened. Bad things were happening now that were not happening before. But also it is possible to change, and it is possible to act, and it is possible to act without an external driver. It is not too late, but the clock is ticking. And we have to do something about climate change and biodiversity. So change for a better future is possible and probably goes through reassessing significantly our development model, our intensive agriculture model, our growth paradigms. But I think maybe the world is ready now, and if it's not ready, we are going to be pushed being ready by our young people. And we should reach anybody, and we should bring anybody to the table, everybody to the table, from the very intensive cereal farmer from the Midwest to the local women group in Uganda. But for that, we need to scale up, or scale out. So we need to move from the localized into everybody being in action. And that's what the Global Landscape Forum is trying to do, create a movement around people interested in sustainable development via sustainable management of landscape. And of course, Kyoto, climate change is the critical issue. As I said this morning, last week, biodiversity was a critical issue, and it's still there. We cannot solve the issue of climate change without taking into account biodiversity. We cannot solve the issue of biodiversity without tackling climate change. At the same time, human well-being is a critical issue. We are unlikely to solve anything if we don't pay attention to the human well-being of the people. Change must bring good things, and it must bring good things to everybody. I mean, nobody should be left behind. It's easier to say than done, but it's something that we should keep in mind. And for that, I think that we have had some very good examples today, and we hope that we can count on you, people in the room, people online, in terms of spreading the word and in terms of changing, in terms of improving, in terms of working on the three related issues: climate change, biodiversity loss, and human well-being. So thanks for all the participants. This is the end of the conference. But as there is no end of good things, this doesn't stop here. And we will have, after 6 p.m. Kyoto time, a C4 USAID-led session on wetland. Then from Nairobi, UN Environment will discuss about the UN Decade on Ecological Restoration. Then the youth will organize a session on the climate-smart landscape from the Netherlands. Then if you are still out and you're coming back from Guyane or something, you can have an operationalization of the landscape approach from Vancouver, and ultimately from Brazil, a session on the role of fashion industry in the climate change. So this is a big program that is waiting for you. So if you don't know what to do tonight, I mean, sort of connect to the Global Landscape Forum and you will be kept busy. Now it's the time for me to thank all the people that have allowed this meeting to happen. And I apologize first because generally speaking, I always forget someone. So if I forget you, mea culpa. First, our Japanese colleagues and friends, the city of Kyoto, Kyoto University, the ministry, JICA, and I probably forget someone, ION, our colleagues from FAO, the UN RED, the UN Environment, all the panelists that have taken the time to come and share their experience and make us bigger than when we entered this room in this morning. I would have also to thank particularly the C4 GLF team. I don't know if you are around. If you are around, stand up. Only one standing up. It doesn't work. I mean, I saw some people that did not stand up. And I would have to thank our translator also. They did a fantastic job. I mean, and having said that, I conclude the Global Landscape Forum Kyoto. It is not too late, but the clock is ticking. Thank you very much.